C'est toi qui vas tous les jours à Massabielle?
Oui, monsieur.
Et tu t'appelles?
Bernadette.
Bernadette comment?
Soubirous.
After moving thousands of spectators in France, the musical Bernadette of Lourdes is now arriving to the Italian stage. Inspired by the official transcripts from Bernadette of Soubirous' interrogations, the musical tells the real story of an ordinary girl who claimed to have seen something extraordinary. Bringing together Catholic and non-Catholic producers and actors, the musical aims at going beyond religious beliefs to touch upon universal themes such as authenticity, truth, and resilience, so to make the show accessible for all.
Je le dois à ma grand-mère, pour tout vous dire.
To tell you the truth, I only told to my grandmother, who had a devotion to Lord, who often went to Lord, and who used to talk to me about Lord all the time. I didn't know much about Lord, but I had this very strong bond with my grandmother. One day, we did a workshop for a show called Robin Hood, with 20 or so artists a few miles from Lourdes. And that's when I said to Eleanor de Galard, my associate, listen, I'm going to leave the Robin Hood troupe here, and I'm going to surprise my grandmother. I'm going to go to Lourdes and pray for her. And when I announced this to the troupe, they all said, no, we're coming with you.
À la troupe, ils ont dit non, on vient avec toi.
Donc ils ont décidé de venir aussi. On s'est retrouvés un soir.
So they decided to come too. We met up one evening in November. It was dark. It was raining. Lourdes was empty. We all found ourselves in front of the grotto. And despite the terrible weather conditions, we spent an absolutely extraordinary moment together, even though once again, there were no believers in our group, and people who weren't necessarily devoted to Lourdes. We spent some time there together, and everyone left a bit shaken up. We had dinner together and started to tell the story of Bernadette, and realized that there was a fantastic story to be told.
Fantastique à raconter.
As its name suggests, the musical Bernadette of Lourdes tells the story of Bernadette Soubirous. Between February the 11th and July the 16th, 1858, at the age of 14, the little shepherdess had a series of visions of the Virgin Mary in the nearby Massabielle grotto. According to Bernadette, the lady of her visions was a girl of 16 or 17, clothed in a white robe and a blue sash, who had yellow roses covering her feet and a large rosary on her right arm. On March the 25th, she told the young, poor, and uneducated girl, "I am the Immaculate Conception." Since 1858, thousands of pilgrims have come to the Grotto of Lourdes every year, seeking a cure for their illnesses and asking for the intercession of Our Lady. Despite the producer's fervent enthusiasm, the musical faced significant obstacles. The coronavirus pandemic and subsequent lockdowns hindered progress, and skepticism from the public posed additional challenges.
Maintenant le challenge, mais il est comme en France.
Currently, the main challenge is to find good actors and the right production team that is going to work with us. But mainly good actors, because finding a Bernadette who wants to take on this role, which is a magnificent but difficult role to carry on one's shoulders, is not easy. But we found Gaia, a fantastic young girl, whom we are very happy to see join the cast, which will soon be revealed.
Le casting sera dévoilé tout à l'heure, donc vous verrez.
When I joined this production, I realized that the role that they had given me was a really important role. Initially, before knowing this character, I was a little bit intimidated by her. But after watching the French performances, I realized that she's a girl like any girl, who got to see a light, something special. And what set her apart was her courage in imposing herself in a difficult society.
Era difficile.
In the musical, producers and actors find parallels between Bernadette's struggles and those of people today, regardless of their religious beliefs. In fact, they all argue, similarly to how people are today subject to rumors, disbelief, and hostility. Bernadette's narrative remains profoundly relevant to any audience, regardless of their faith.
Ce qui est le plus important, c'est que comme le spectacle...
What's most important is that the show is not a show by Catholics for Catholics, since the director himself is not a believer. But he went to Lourdes and saw the written transcriptions of the interrogations. Every time Bernadette was questioned, the interrogations were transcribed. In fact, the strength of the show lies in the fact that he tells the story of a young girl from the most underprivileged background as possible, who was ill, who didn't speak French, but who is going to have a destiny for herself, but above all for others.
Pour soi, mais surtout pour les autres.
Underneath her sanctity, the producers argued, Bernadette is after all only a little girl. But not just any little girl. She was a girl who saw something extraordinary, a girl who believed in what she saw, and a girl who stood up for what she believed in.